Last year, I made a video which was a follow on to the brilliant video by John A. Douglas, No Books for Men. I wanted to give my 2 cents to it because I've dipped my toe into the publishing industry. I know people within, and it was a really interesting little topic. I wanted to do a follow up because I got the feeling a lot of people missed the point of what was being said or reacted with their emotions rather than a thought out comment or being described as a rant. And when people use the word rant, it literally means they're dismissing your opinion, even though I think that was a very measured video that took about 2 weeks to write. So let's go into it. Let's do a follow up and let's talk about why traditional publishing is failing male readers and writers. My name is Will, I'm the host of the Board Book Geek. Like, sub, share this video, tell me what you think in the comments below, and check out my Patreon and memberships for exclusive content you'll never get anywhere else. Traditional publishing is facing a growing problem that many are hesitant to acknowledge. There is a systematic failing of male readers and writers. While the industry continues to spotlight certain genres and demographics, it has left a significant portion of its audience in the shadow. Male readers and authors are being sidelined with their interests, and stories are often dismissed or ignored. This follow-up to my recent video dives into a deeper issue and exploring why this imbalance exists, addressing some of the comments and misunderstanding in the original discussion. Walk into any bookstore today, it's immediately clear that audiences are being catered to. Young adult fantasy, romance, contemporary, literary fiction, self-help titles dominate the shelves. While these genres have passionate followings and deserve their place, they are overwhelmingly targeted towards female readers. This leaves male readers with fewer options that speak to their experiences or interests. Traditional genres enjoyed by men, science fiction, thrillers, and historical fiction, often take a back seat, relegated to smaller sections or entirely overlooked. Even when books in the genre are published, they rarely receive the marketing push needed to succeed in a highly competitive landscape. Instead, publishers pour resources into chasing trends, leaving behind a significant portion of their potential readership. Walk into any bookstore today, Waterstones, Barnes& Nobles, any mainstream store, The Works, which are in the UK, or book clearance centres, and it's immediately clear which audience is being catered to. Young adult fantasy, romance, and contemporary literature and self-help titles dominate the shelves. While these genres have passionate followings and deserve their place, whether you like them or not, they overwhelmingly target female readers. The marketing, the book covers, the stylistic choices, and this leaves male readers with fewer options that speak to their experiences or interests. And let's be real, we do judge a book by its cover, whether we say it or not. Genres traditionally enjoyed by men, science fiction, thrillers, and historical fiction, often take a back seat, relegated to small sections or entirely overlooked by major promotional companies. Even when these books and these genres are published, they rarely receive the marketing push needed to succeed in an extremely competitive landscape. Publishing is very cutthroat, so instead the publishers pour resources into chasing trends, and it leaves behind a significant portion of their potential readership. This challenge extends beyond readers to male writers, who face increasing obstacles in getting their stories heard. There is a reason a lot of the indie field is dominated by many male writers, because publishers are not interested in these books, and I know this one firsthand. I've talked about this on multiple occasions. There's a growing sentiment within the industry that stories centered on male perspectives are unmarketable or even problematic, and this bias creates an environment where male authors feel pressure to conform to certain narratives or risk being marginalized. Look at any debut male writer right now. For instance, rarely are they marketed as the next big literary voice unless their work aligns with the current zeitgeist. By contrast, female authors, while facing their own challenges, are often celebrated for breaking into traditionally male-dominated genres, even if the books are mediocre. Meanwhile, male writers in genres like romance or contemporary fiction are often met with skepticism, dismissed, ignored, as if their books don't matter because they're written by men. And I've seen these attitudes permeate Book Talk, BookTube, book podcasts, and many other places. This imbalance not only discourages male authors, but also perpetuates a narrow view of what stories are deemed valuable or worth telling. It's a vicious circle. Male voices are sidelined. Fewer men see themselves reflected in contemporary literature. Yes, men read less than women, but we'll come to that. After my original video, a lot of people, misunderstood the core argument. We saw it John A. Douglas's video, and the reaction it got on Twitter from the romance girlies. A lot of people dismissed it or called him and me names, words, and things that I cannot repeat in a video, and obviously didn't watch the video. I can always tell commenters don't watch the video. If you watch 30 seconds of a video and leave a vicious comment, your opinion doesn't matter. Watch the video and make up your mind rather than being reactionary. A few commenters accused me of dismissing the achievements of women writers or the success of genres targeted at women. Let's be clear, that was never the point. The issue isn't with female-driven narratives or the popularity of certain genres. Instead, it's about the lack of balance and the near-total absence of content tailored to male audiences. One recurring argument was, and we're going back to a point earlier, that men don't read as much as women. As if this absolves the industry of responsibility, this narrative ignores the deeper issue that men are less likely to engage with content that doesn't resonate with them. Look at the marketing. Look at book covers. If the publishing world fails to produce and promote books that appeal to male readers, it's no wonder that many men, myself included, have either turned to independently published novels, video games, movies, and countless other things that are far more interesting than most of the generic romantasy that's dominating the hot new releases and trending on TikTok section in bookshops. Another comment suggested that male writers should adapt to what sells. While understanding market trends is part of the writing profession, forcing authors to conform to a narrow viewpoint, it stifles creativity and alienates those with different stories to tell. We live in an age where Bret Easton Ellis would not even get a look in, and he's one of the greatest writers of his generation. Being authentic is key in storytelling, and dismissing the perspectives of male writers does a disservice to literature as a whole. Now let's get to the point why it matters. The publishing industry is biased against male readers and writers has a far broader cultural impact. Literature has always been a mirror of society, reflecting its complexities and diversities. By sidelining male voices, we see less viable perspectives and risk creating an echo chamber that prioritizes certain narratives while silencing others. This issue isn't about favouring one group over another, but about restoring the balance. Men's experiences, interests, and stories are just as valid and necessary as anyone else's. The current state of traditional publishing, however, suggests otherwise. And I did do a list of what needs to change. Traditional publishing is becoming, well, not really a viable option for many people. It doesn't hold the power or the money, and the publishing industry is struggling financially. An actual fact, it is struggling financially and has been for a long time. Gone are the big celebrity writers and the big upfront payments and the launch parties in five-star restaurants. Publishers need to invest in promoting genres and stories that appeal to male readers, giving them the same visibility as most mainstream titles that they push. Male writers need spaces to share their stories without fear of being dismissed or marginalised. This means fostering an environment where all perspectives are valid. The publishing world must confront its own prejudice and move beyond the notion that male-oriented content is somehow outdated or problematic. When you look at the publishing agents, the people in charge, you can often see why this myth is perpetuated. Publishers should seek to understand what male readers want rather than assuming their interests are incompatible with modern literature. There are countless stories being independently published. Go on Amazon, go on any independent site, Kindle, iBooks, Kobo, print-to-order websites, but mainstream publishers are uninterested in them, and I can tell you stories, my own and friends, who've been trying to get published, who went independent for many, many reasons. The response to my original video highlights how deeply ingrained this issue is, and how much work needs to be done. Let's be real. By ignoring male readers and writers, traditional publishing not only limits its prospective audience, but also fails to live up to the role as a platform for diverse voices. As we move forward, it's critical to keep this conversation going. This isn't about creating division or taking opportunities from one group to benefit another. It's about ensuring that literature remains a space where everyone's stories can be told and heard. So, what do you think about the current state of publishing? Have you noticed the lack of books for men or the challenges male writers face? I know I'm going to get some comments on this video, and many of you will miss the point because that seems to always be the case. Watch the whole video, get to the end, and then have an opinion. And by the way, the section in the bookshop that is dedicated to older books doesn't count in this discussion. That is a whole other thing that we need to talk about. Let's keep this discussion going. Together we can push for more inclusivity and balance in the literary world. I get it. Publishers need to make money, but the publishing industry is alienating potential readers. If you don't foster love of reading as a child, you're not going to continue it in real life and your adult life and work outside of that. So, before you all dogpile me and call me every name under the sun, maybe take a critical look at the issue rather than reacting with your emotions.